Examining the development of economic preferences of children and teenagers and why this is important for life. That's our goal and main research theme. My name is Matthias Sutter. I'm currently director at the Max Planck Institute for Research in Collective Goods. I've started in August 2017 and I've built up a group of 12 scientists currently. When scientists talk about economic preferences, they basically mean a few very core issues, namely time preferences. How do we trade off present versus future? Risk preferences. How do we deal with situations when risk is involved and something can go wrong but it can also turn out well? Social preferences. How do we behave towards others? Are we fair in sharing? Well, first of all, it's lots of fun actually working with children and teenagers, but scientifically speaking, of course, there is more to it. There's more to it because recent research has shown that the development of economic preferences, but also of, say, non-cognitive skills, persistence in working on a task, for instance, competitiveness, being willing to expose yourself to competition, these are very important things for a life of any person. It starts already in school in a sense. They start playing with each other, they start competing with each other, and already there, for instance, in one of our research projects, we have seen that girls shy away from competition much earlier and much more often than boys, for instance. But however, later on in life, and in particular on the labor market, the willingness to compete, expose yourself to competition is really crucial for your success. Well, currently we have started a big project in Bangladesh, one of a very poor country in the world. We want to understand how economic preferences are formed within families, and what the relation looks like between mothers and fathers and between parents and children and between siblings among each other, and what determines these economic preferences. In short, what we find is that if you know the parents' preferences, you have an extremely good guess what the children are, meaning that whether they are more or less patient, whether they are more or less risk-taking, whether they are more or less pro-social. Interestingly, compared to some other current projects in developed countries, we do not see any influence of economic background of families on the economic preferences. And on top of that, it's also novel in the sense that this is the first really encompassing study on economic preferences within families in a poor country. Consider, I would give you an option of getting 100 euros today or 101 euros tomorrow. It's as simple as that. Now, many people take the 100 today because they don't want to wait for a day. But of course, if you increase the stakes tomorrow, say to 102, 105, 110, well, people start waiting. Now, it's interesting that many people are different here, right? Some are very impulsive. They want to have the 100 right now. Some are very patient, say, well, I'm happy to wait for 101 tomorrow. So for instance, for teenagers, we found that those taking the 100 right now are more likely to smoke, to drink alcohol, to aim for less education in the future, are more likely to be obese, have worse grades in schools, have more disciplinary problems in schools, and all of this is not really good. Currently, we are also working with young children from 3 to 8, 9, and what we are interested in this project is what is called grit nowadays. Give young children a puzzle to complete, right? Many pieces, difficult to bring them together, although it's a nice motive, but still it's work, right? You need to kind of try around and you fail often, but you need to go on really to complete it. And what we find is there is, for instance, a relationship between the parents' attitude, whether they think, well, I can really work persistently on a task, and the children's real behavior in our experimental situation. One of the things that we have in mind is also doing interventions like mentoring programs for children, for instance, which have been shown in other parts of the world to have strong impacts on social preferences, for instance. And this is also one thing that we want to see whether that works in poor countries of the world, whether we can really have an impact on preferences, shaping them in a direction which is good for future success.